What if reality was never blocking you at all? What if it was simply trying to interpret a signal too noisy to understand? Most people think they're manifesting with clarity. They visualize. They affirm. They repeat mantras until their voice goes hoarse. Yet something feels off, like the universe is answering in fragments, or not at all. It's not because you're broken. It's not because your dreams are too big or your timing too late. It's because your energy, the invisible broadcast you send out every second, is split in two. One part of you says, "I'm ready for change." The other whispers, "But what if it never comes?" And the field, the quantum canvas that listens to every vibration, responds not to your wish, but to your entire frequency mix. You've been told that creation requires control. Push harder. Think positive. Never doubt. But control is a language the field doesn't understand. It only hears coherence, a signal that is steady, unified, and free from inner war. When your thoughts, emotions, and nervous system are pulling in different directions, the message you broadcast sounds like static. You might think you're sending out clarity, but what the universe receives is interference. Hope entangled with fear, trust tangled with tension. This is what scientists and mystics alike describe as frequency interference, when two or more opposing signals cancel each other out. You're still transmitting energy, but the pattern becomes distorted. The result? Nothing changes, or worse, life mirrors your confusion back to you. Think of your inner world as a radio station. When the dial is slightly off, you don't hear silence. You hear noise. Static. Disruption. It's not that the music stopped playing. It's that you're not tuned precisely enough to receive it. That's what happens when your body lives in survival while your mind chants affirmations of abundance. The vibration of fear drowns out the melody of trust. The universe, like a mirror, simply reflects the mixed signal. So the question isn't, how do I force my reality to change? It's how do I quiet the static inside me so reality can finally hear me clearly? Here's the paradox. Every time you try to make something happen, you tighten your frequency. You create internal resistance, a contraction that says, "I don't have it yet." And because the quantum field mirrors what is, not what should be, it keeps reflecting that gap back at you. Change doesn't come from force. It comes from coherence, when your thoughts, your emotions, and your nervous system move in the same rhythm. This is the heart of the quantum frequency shift. It's not a method. It's not a ritual. It's a reorganization of your inner signal, a return to harmony between your biology and your awareness. Science now tells us what ancient mystics already knew. Every thought creates a measurable electromagnetic field. Every emotion leaves a physical imprint on your heart rhythm. When you feel desperate, your heart's waves become jagged and chaotic. When you breathe slowly and feel safe, they smooth into elegant curves. Your frequency, then, isn't metaphorical, it's literal. You're broadcasting data into the quantum field every second. The only question is, what kind of signal are you sending? So take a breath. Feel it travel down to your belly. Notice the soft hum beneath the noise of your mind, the space that exists before a thought forms. That stillness is the natural frequency of coherence. It's been there since the beginning. You don't create it, you remember it. When your energy is unified, when your desire and your trust vibrate as one, life doesn't resist you anymore. It reflects you. And that's the invitation. Stop fighting the static. Stop trying to shout your intentions into a universe that already understands whispers. The signal you're sending is the reality you're living. And in the next episode, you'll see exactly why effort, pressure, and endless striving distort your frequency, and how to begin shifting from force to flow. You've been taught that effort is power, that the harder you push, the faster you'll move. But in the quantum world, force doesn't speed you up, it locks you in place. Most of us learn to manifest through tension disguised as discipline. We wake up early, repeat affirmations, visualize, push, control. We try to make reality obey our plans, as if the universe were a machine, not a mirror. But the truth is simple. When you force, you fracture your signal. Every ounce of resistance you carry, every "I must," "I need," "I should," splits your frequency in half. And the field can't amplify what isn't coherent. Imagine this. You're trying to tune a radio to your favorite station, but your hand keeps shaking. You keep twisting the dial faster, desperate to find the sound. The faster you turn, the more noise you create. That's what happens every time you chase what's already trying to reach you. The universe doesn't need you to pull. It needs you to align. Here's what science reveals. Your body, right now, is an instrument of transmission. Your thoughts send electromagnetic waves. Your emotions determine their shape. When you feel anxious, your breath shortens. Your heart begins to beat irregularly. Your brainwaves scatter. The entire system goes into incoherence. And incoherence equals noise. A distorted field can't carry a clear intention. So you might be saying, I'm calm, but your biology is screaming, I'm afraid. The field listens to the total broadcast. Not the words. Not the wish. It listens to the vibration beneath both. This is why people spend years trying to think positive and still end up exhausted. They're trying to build light over a foundation of tension. They're layering words on top of resistance. It's like painting gold over rust. It looks shiny for a moment, but the corrosion remains underneath. Because you can't pretend coherence. You have to become it. Every emotion you suppress adds distortion to your frequency. Every, I'm fine, spoken through clenched teeth sends mixed data into the field. That's why surrender is not weakness. It's signal clarity. When you stop forcing and begin feeling, your system realigns. Your heart rhythm smooths. Your breath deepens. And your field, once chaotic, begins to stabilize. This is the beginning of flow. Not the external kind where events suddenly go your way, but the inner kind, where you finally stop fighting yourself. Here's a paradox the ego hates. True power comes from stillness. Because stillness holds coherence, and coherence moves mountains. When you're tense, the field mirrors struggle. When you're open, it mirrors expansion. And that's not mysticism, it's measurable. Neurocardiology shows that your heart's electromagnetic field can synchronize with your brain's activity when you enter calm awareness. This synchronization is coherence. It's harmony between your biology and your consciousness, and it radiates outward. The field then responds like water meeting form, taking the exact shape of your inner signal. So, how do you stop forcing reality to bend and start letting it flow? You begin by catching yourself in the act of tension. The moment you feel the impulse to control, pause. Breathe slowly. Let the body catch up to the mind. Ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I stop pushing? That question alone can dissolve the charge, because awareness breaks the loop of unconscious effort. The nervous system can't stay in defense once you've turned the light of observation on it. Here's the truth that most never hear. The universe doesn't reward force. It rewards resonance. The more you grip, the more you signal lack. The more you trust, the more you become magnetic. You can't bully the quantum field into compliance. You can only invite it through coherence. When you master this shift, life starts moving differently. Time feels slower, but results come faster. Conversations flow. Intuitive nudges appear. The right people cross your path at perfect timing. It's not luck, it's alignment. And that's what we're going to explore next. The science behind this phenomenon. How your heart, breath, and brain form a living circuit of frequency. And why aligning them creates a field strong enough to reorganize reality itself. Stay tuned. In the next episode, we'll step into the laboratory of consciousness and see how ancient wisdom and modern physics speak the same silent language of coherence. What if your heart was more than a muscle? What if it was a transmitter, sending information to everything around you, shaping the space you live in, moment by moment? Take a breath. Feel your chest rise and fall. Beneath that rhythm is something ancient, something intelligent. Your heart is not just pumping blood. It's broadcasting the story you believe about life. When you feel calm, that story is clear. The signal is steady. Life responds with the same softness. But when you feel fear or tension, your rhythm breaks. The signal becomes rough, confused, full of noise. And the world mirrors that confusion back to you. You felt it before. Those days when everything seems to resist you. When the smallest task becomes heavy. When you can't hear your own intuition. It's not bad luck. It's interference. The heart and mind are out of tune. There's a way back. It begins with awareness, a simple moment of noticing. The moment you catch yourself in tension, you begin to shift it. You can't control your thoughts, but you can soften your breath. You can place a hand on your chest and remind your body that it's safe. Safety changes everything. When your body feels safe, your breath deepens. When your breath deepens, your mind begins to quiet. And when the mind quiets, you start to hear that subtle frequency beneath the noise, the steady pulse of coherence. That's when life begins to flow again. It's as if the air around you changes texture. People respond differently. Moments stretch. Time feels slower. You stop chasing and start noticing. Because the truth is, clarity doesn't arrive from outside. It rises from within when the storm settles. You don't need to force reality to cooperate. You only need to bring yourself into harmony, and reality will follow. Think of your heart as the center of your personal universe. When it's restless, everything spins in chaos. When it's calm, everything aligns around that stillness. The outer world starts to echo the peace you hold inside. Every emotion you feel, every thought you repeat, is a small vibration that builds your world. You've been shaping your reality all along, not through effort, but through resonance. When you fall into frustration, you don't need to fight it. Just notice it. Take one deep breath. Feel your heartbeat slow down. That's you returning to your natural frequency. You don't need rituals. You don't need perfection. You need honesty. If you're tired, admit it. If you're scared, breathe through it. If you're unsure, let the silence answer instead of your mind. Little by little, the static fades. The signal becomes pure again. And you realize something you've always known deep down. You were never separate from life. You were just sending mixed messages. Now the message is clear. I'm ready. I trust. I'm listening. Stay here for a moment. Feel the space between your breaths. That's coherence. Not an idea, but a state of being. The calm beneath the noise. The harmony beneath the chaos. And it's always been waiting for you. In the next part, we'll explore what happens when you live from this space. When your thoughts, your emotions, and your body start moving as one. That's where real transformation begins. There comes a moment when you realize the problem was never the world. It was the echo inside you, the constant hum of trying, fixing, proving. The chase becomes a habit, and peace starts to feel unnatural. But the truth is simpler. You were never meant to live in tension. You were meant to flow. When you stop forcing, a strange thing happens. The silence you've avoided starts to speak. It's quiet, but clear. It tells you that every answer you've been running toward was already waiting for you inside the stillness you kept skipping. You begin to see how much of your energy was spent in resistance. Every plan, every doubt, every thought of, I need to make this work, was a wall between you and the current of life that has always been pulling you forward. You don't lose your power when you stop pushing. You rediscover it. Power isn't in control, it's in connection. Control drains. Connection replenishes. Look at a river. It doesn't argue with the rocks. It simply moves around them. That's what coherence feels like. You don't fight life anymore, you dance with it. The shift begins the moment you stop identifying with your emotions. You feel fear, but you are not fear. You feel doubt, but you are not doubt. You're the space behind them, wide, calm, steady. When you remember this, emotions stop being threats. They become signals. Tension says, I'm out of alignment. Calm says, I'm home. You don't have to silence the noise. You just have to stop believing it's who you are. Every time you notice a storm rising inside you, breathe. Don't analyze. Don't explain. Just breathe. Because breath is the bridge. It's how the body returns to truth. One inhale reminds your system, I'm safe. One exhale tells the field, I'm open. That's all coherence asks for, safety and openness. You'll start feeling this in your daily life. The small irritations won't bite as deeply. The moments that once triggered anxiety will lose their power. You'll respond instead of react. And in that space between reaction and response, freedom lives. That's what it means to tune your frequency. Not to become someone new, but to return to the version of you that doesn't need to fight for alignment. The world doesn't need a louder signal from you. It needs a cleaner one. When your heart and mind move together, the message is unmistakable. Life hears it and adjusts. No one can give you that harmony. You find it by listening, not to words, but to the quiet rhythm beneath them. That's where truth hides, not in noise, not in effort, but in presence. So the next time you feel lost, don't run toward more answers. Sit, breathe, listen. The field doesn't respond to what you demand. It responds to who you are being right now. Stay there, even if it's uncomfortable, because that stillness you're trying to escape is exactly where you reconnect with your power. In the next part, we'll enter that stillness fully. You'll learn the simple process of aligning your breath, your attention, and your feeling. And how that quiet act can shift everything around you without a single word. Close your eyes. For a moment, forget the plans, the goals, the endless lists of what must be done. Forget the idea that transformation is something you have to earn. Right now, there is only this breath. And this breath is where everything begins. Sit comfortably. No need for perfection. You don't have to light candles or chant words you don't believe. You only need to feel yourself existing, fully, honestly. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Let your belly rise like it's filling with light. Hold it gently. Then exhale through your mouth, soft and steady. Do it again, slower this time. And notice how your thoughts start to lose their sharp edges. That's not magic. That's your system remembering what peace feels like. This is the first step, the return to safety. Because nothing aligns when you feel unsafe. And safety doesn't come from control, it comes from allowing. Now bring your attention to your heart. Not the idea of your heart, the real one, pulsing quietly in your chest. Place your hand there if you want to. Feel the warmth. That warmth is the bridge between thought and life. Breathe into it. With every inhale, imagine you're drawing in calm. With every exhale, imagine the calm spreading through your body. No rush, no goal, just rhythm. Soon, a feeling begins to rise, gentle, not forced. It might be appreciation, gratitude, or simply relief. You don't have to exaggerate it. A small, honest spark is enough to light your entire field. Let that feeling expand naturally, like sunlight stretching across water. Don't push it, just notice it. Notice how your breath deepens. Notice how your body softens. This is coherence, not a thought, but a sensation. Now ask yourself, quietly, what would it feel like if this was already resolved? Don't search for an answer. Feel the question in your body. Maybe a soft release in your shoulders. Maybe a wave of warmth through your chest. Maybe just silence. That's fine too. That's the point where effort ends and alignment begins. You've crossed from control into resonance. The field isn't waiting for words. It's listening to the vibration behind them. If your mind wanders, and it will, smile at it. Bring it back with one slow breath. You're not failing. You're tuning. Every return to awareness sharpens your frequency. This is how the shift happens, quietly, steadily, like tuning a string until it hums in perfect tone. You don't need to demand results. You just need to hold the vibration of trust long enough for the noise to fade. When you open your eyes, the world will look the same, but feel different. Colors a little deeper. Sounds a little softer. Time a little slower. Because coherence changes perception before it changes circumstances. You can do this anywhere, at your desk, before a meeting, while walking, before sleep. No one has to know. You don't need to believe in anything mystical. You're simply training your body to remember calm, the natural state where creation happens without force. Every time you return to this practice, you're not escaping the world. You're rewriting how you meet it. This is the quantum shift, not lightning, not fireworks, but the gentle click of everything inside you aligning. And from that alignment, life begins to rearrange itself. Not because you commanded it to, but because you finally stopped fighting it. Stay with this feeling. It's small, quiet, maybe fragile right now, but it's real. This is the door. You found it. In the next part, we'll explore what happens after this. How reality starts to shift when your inner world stays in harmony long enough for the outer one to catch up. You won't always notice the shift right away. Sometimes it comes softly, like a breeze through an open window. You breathe differently. You move differently. The same world, yet somehow lighter. That's how coherence begins, not with fireworks, but with quiet balance returning to your system. You feel it in small moments. You answer a message calmly instead of reacting. You notice beauty in a place you used to rush through. You stop arguing with what is. It's subtle, but it's powerful. Because every time you stay in that calm frequency, your life starts to reorganize itself around it. Opportunities you once chased begin to approach you. Conversations that used to drain you start to flow with ease. Even your body feels different, slower heartbeat, steadier breath, more energy that doesn't come from caffeine or adrenaline. I remember someone who once told me, "Nothing ever works for me. I try so hard, and life keeps closing doors." When she started practicing alignment, she didn't expect miracles. She just breathed slower. She let herself feel gratitude for the smallest things, a morning light on her wall, a warm drink in her hands. Within weeks, her energy changed. People started reaching out. Projects that were silent began to move again. Nothing external had been forced. She had simply stopped interfering with her own signal. You see, alignment doesn't pull things to you. It allows you to finally see what was already waiting. The path was always there. You were just too noisy to notice it. The moment you stop fighting time, time itself expands. The moment you stop demanding proof, proof begins to appear. It's not cause and effect, it's reflection and resonance. You start to understand that life doesn't respond to your thoughts alone. It responds to your state. And your state is built breath by breath. When you feel the impulse to push, pause. When you catch yourself worrying, soften your shoulders. When fear says, "What if it doesn't work?" Answer, "Then I'll stay peaceful anyway." That is power. Because peace is not passive. It's presence, the most magnetic force you can hold. Little by little, reality adjusts. You meet people who match your new calm. You walk into rooms that once made you shrink and feel completely at ease. Your reactions slow down. You see the bigger picture before emotion takes over. You begin to sense when you're slipping out of coherence, a tightening in the chest, a rush of thoughts, a shallow breath. And instead of spiraling, you smile. You know exactly what to do. Breathe, return, align. Each time you do, your system learns faster. Soon, calm becomes your default frequency. And from that space, life stops feeling like a battlefield. It starts feeling like a conversation. When you stay in that frequency long enough, the world becomes responsive, not reactive. You no longer chase signs. They find you. Coincidences multiply. You think of someone, and they call. You take one small step, and 10 unfold ahead of you. It's not magic. It's harmony. When your inner rhythm matches the rhythm of life, everything begins to flow in one direction, forward. So don't wait for dramatic proof. Notice the quiet ones, the deeper breath, the softer mornings, the peaceful evenings. These are the first ripples of transformation. You're not becoming someone new. You're remembering who you were before the noise began. And in the next part, you'll see what happens when this calm becomes your normal. When your frequency stays steady long enough for reality to rewrite itself around your peace. At first, it feels strange to live without the constant rush. You've spent years measuring your worth by movement, progress, effort. But now, as your energy steadies, you begin to sense something deeper, a quiet rhythm underneath everything. You wake up, and the world doesn't feel like an obstacle anymore. You move through your day with less resistance. The same tasks, the same people, but the weight is gone. You're not forcing outcomes, you're allowing moments. This is what happens when your frequency stabilizes. Life doesn't suddenly erase challenges, it changes how you meet them. Situations that used to drain you now dissolve before turning into storms. Conversations that once triggered you end with mutual understanding. Even silence feels safe now. You stop chasing confirmation from the outside. You don't need signs to prove you're aligned. You feel it. The proof is in your breath, your calm, your clarity. You realize that peace itself is the manifestation. Urgency begins to fade. The voice that used to whisper, "You're running out of time," grows quiet. You start to trust timing again, not as an idea, but as a feeling. Every delay feels purposeful. Every pause feels sacred. This is where life begins to move through you instead of around you. You notice synchronicities, small, gentle clues that you're in harmony. You think of someone, and they reach out. You walk into a place you've never been and hear the exact words you needed. The universe doesn't shout, it hums. And now, you're finally quiet enough to hear it. Relationships shift too. Some people drift away, and for the first time, it doesn't hurt. You understand that every vibration attracts its own reflection. When you raise yours, some connections naturally fade, and new ones appear, softer, clearer, more real. Your body feels the difference. You sleep deeper. You breathe without noticing. The constant tension in your neck or chest slowly disappears. You stop feeling like you have to protect yourself from life. And with that safety, something beautiful happens. Creativity returns. Ideas flow again. Inspiration sneaks up in the middle of ordinary days. You feel like yourself again, only lighter. This is not perfection. It's alignment. You still feel fear sometimes, but it doesn't own you. You still have doubts, but they don't drown you. You've learned to stay anchored while the waves move. That's coherence, not the absence of chaos, but the ability to stay calm inside it. When your inner signal holds steady, the outer world can finally rearrange itself. You don't need to manifest. You magnetize. This is how life starts to flow, not through control, but through resonance. Every action becomes natural. Every choice feels guided. You stop reacting and start responding. And maybe, for the first time, you feel safe inside your own energy. Not because everything is perfect, but because you know how to return to balance when it's not. That's the real shift. You're no longer chasing peace, you're being it. And in that state, reality listens differently. Doors open quietly. Paths appear naturally. The world bends toward your stillness. Stay here a little longer. Let this feeling sink in. Because in the next part, you'll see what can pull you away from this calm. The subtle traps that lure you back into force, and how to walk past them without losing your signal again. Even after you find peace, the old habits wait in the shadows. They whisper the same stories. You should be doing more. You're falling behind. You need results now. And if you're not careful, they pull you right back into the noise. This is how the cycle repeats. You touch stillness, you feel free, and then the mind tries to turn it into a project. It starts asking, am I doing it right? Or why don't I feel the same today? That's not failure. That's conditioning. You spent years learning to measure progress by effort. Now you're unlearning it breath by breath. The truth is, coherence doesn't demand perfection. It just asks for honesty. You don't have to feel light all the time. You only have to notice when you've slipped back into force. When you try to fake emotions you don't feel, the frequency breaks. You can't pretend gratitude. You can't perform calm. The universe reads energy, not words. So if you're sad, be sad, but breathe through it. If you're tired, rest, without guilt. Authenticity holds more power than any polished affirmation. Another trap is using your practice as a bargain with life. You breathe, you meditate, but deep down you're still thinking, if I do this, I'll finally get what I want. That's not surrender. That's manipulation disguised as trust. And the field can feel it. When your motive is control, your frequency tightens again. You can't open doors by demanding them to unlock. You open them by softening the hand that knocks. Then there's the obsession with thoughts. You start watching them like a guard, afraid that one wrong idea will ruin your vibration. But the more you chase every shadow in your mind, the darker the room becomes. Thoughts come and go. They don't define your energy, your state does. One calm breath can outweigh 100 anxious thoughts. And maybe the hardest trap of all, expecting instant change. The world taught you speed, not patience. But alignment is like growing roots. You can't see the progress at first, yet everything depends on it. Trust the slow unfolding. It's not that nothing is happening. It's that it's happening where you can't see. Inside the signal, inside you. And when life challenges you again, that's not proof you've failed. It's an invitation. Every moment of tension is a chance to return, stronger, cleaner, clearer. The field never punishes you for forgetting. It just mirrors what you're broadcasting right now. So when you notice you've fallen back into effort, smile. You caught the pattern. That's awareness. That's mastery. Measure success differently now. Not by results, but by recovery. Did you remember to breathe? Did you come back faster this time? Did you choose softness over control, even for a second? That's growth. You don't have to start over each time you drift. You're never off the path. The path is every return to presence. Because the real shift isn't about never losing coherence. It's about always finding your way back to it. In the next part, we'll go deeper into that. How to live from this new definition of success, where peace becomes the foundation, not the reward. There's a quiet kind of strength that comes when you stop chasing results. It's not loud or heroic. It doesn't shout or demand. It just breathes. And in that breath, everything starts to make sense again. You've spent a lifetime being told that success is proof. Proof you worked hard enough, proved yourself enough, deserved enough. But what if success isn't something to achieve? What if it's something you become the moment you choose alignment over struggle? Every time you return to calm, you're already succeeding. Every time you notice tension and soften instead of fight, you're already shifting your future. You don't need medals for that. The reward is the peace that stays. Because in truth, the universe doesn't care about your deadlines. It listens to your frequency, not your checklist. You can write the most perfect plan, but if your energy says, I don't trust, that's what echoes back. When your energy says, I'm ready, but I'm at peace either way, doors start to open. Success in this new world isn't about what you get. It's about what you hold. Hold calm when chaos rises. Hold kindness when fear speaks. Hold trust when nothing makes sense. That's coherence. That's mastery. You'll begin to notice how small choices build a new rhythm. You pause before replying. You smile instead of defending. You breathe instead of proving. And somehow, the world becomes gentler, not because it changed, but because you did. The mind will still tempt you back to old games. It will whisper, you need more evidence, more progress, more validation. But you'll see through it now. You'll know that the moment you start measuring, you've already left the flow. Because peace can't be measured. It can only be felt. And once you feel it, even for a second, you realize nothing else compares. From this space, your actions carry more weight. They're not rushed or forced. They're precise, like arrows released from still hands. And because they come from coherence, they land exactly where they're meant to. That's the quiet revolution. No fireworks, no applause, just alignment so deep that life starts to move with you instead of against you. You begin to see that every obstacle was only asking one question. Can you stay open even now? And when the answer becomes yes, the obstacle loses its power. You no longer chase outcomes because you know they're inevitable when your state is steady. You no longer fear loss because you've felt what can't be taken, presence. You no longer wait for the right moment because you carry it within you. This is what real success feels like. Unhurried, grounded, effortless. You live each day as a conversation with the field, gentle, honest, alive. You act, and life answers. You rest, and life rearranges. And through it all, you stay connected, not to the noise of wanting, but to the signal of being. In the next and final part, you'll bring it all together. The breath, the awareness, the stillness. And you'll see how to carry this frequency everywhere. So peace stops being a moment you visit and becomes the way you live. Close your eyes for a moment. Listen, not to the noise of thoughts, but to what exists beneath them. That steady hum, that quiet pulse. It's been there all along. It's you. This is where the journey was always leading. Not to some distant miracle, but back to the center of your own frequency. Everything you've learned, every breath you've taken, every pause you allowed, it all brought you here. You no longer need to chase alignment. You are alignment. The field doesn't have to be convinced. It already responds to who you've become. You've discovered that peace isn't a reward at the end of the path. It's the ground beneath your feet. It's the air around you. It's the quiet intelligence shaping every moment of your life. Take another slow breath. Feel it fill your chest, your ribs, your whole body. Let the exhale carry away the last traces of control, the need to fix, the urge to prove. You don't need them anymore. Now, imagine this calm traveling outward, beyond your body, beyond the room, spreading through the invisible web that connects everything. That's your signal. That's the frequency the universe has been waiting for. When you walk through life from this space, things change quietly but undeniably. You speak less, yet people listen more. You move slower, yet you arrive sooner. You ask less, yet receive more. Because your energy no longer argues with reality, it harmonizes with it. This is coherence in motion. It's not stillness alone. It's stillness alive. A state where action flows naturally, born from trust, not tension. You begin to see life differently now. Even challenges look like invitations. Even endings feel like openings. You stop dividing experience into good and bad. It's all frequency, and you've learned how to tune it. You've also learned the quiet truth most people miss. You don't create by trying. You create by remembering. Remembering who you are beneath the noise. Remembering that everything real responds to presence, not pressure. This is the code of your frequency. Breathe, feel, allow. Every time you do, you strengthen the signal. Every time you return to calm, the field realigns. And maybe, someday, when you forget, when the noise creeps back in, you'll remember this moment. You'll remember that peace isn't something to find. It's something to return to. One breath, one heartbeat, one choice at a time. So take that breath now, slow and deep. Feel the air move through you like light. Exhale softly. And as you do, say to yourself, not as a wish, but as a knowing. I am in coherence. I am the signal. I am already tuned. Stay here a little longer. Let the stillness settle into your bones. Let it guide your next step, your next thought, your next word. Because from this moment on, you no longer chase transformation. You live it. And that's the secret the universe was always whispering. The field doesn't respond to effort. It responds to who you are. And right now, you are finally clear.